So welcome Tara, and welcome Sandy. So we're going to be doing a really great, not too much, we only have 90 minutes, but a fun overview of the line, Tinta Color. It is Keune's permanent line. You may know me for many years that I taught with another brand for about 20 years. So for me, my color was definitely who I built my business on and what I did for a living as a departmentalized salon. So I've only focused on color in my entire career. In the very beginning was cutting, but then that's when I moved to color really full time. So I'm here for you as a resource to answer any questions that you might have. I want to go through the book really quick just to talk about the color. What I've done is we have a new swatch book. It is a 4-panel book. We don't have individual books for our color brand because we put it all in one book so that it's always there as a resource to you. So you have all of your Tinta colors right here. And then you're gonna have your intense, your warm, your neutrals. So those are the categories, and your creative. So when you're looking at those areas, you're gonna see a level finder, and that's gonna be right on through on the first page. That's gonna disconnect, it's magnetized, and that's what you're gonna be able to use for your level finder. You're gonna see different categories on the top. You're gonna see the UC series. The UC series is what we call Ultimate Cover. And your Ultimate Cover is gonna help you to get better gray penetration and coverage. And the reason why, if you're taking notes, this is really important. Not that it has 50% or double the pigment. That's not why a UC works. It works primarily because it has a little bit more alkaline or ammonia and a little bit more of something called what we call ceramides. So the ceramides help it to attach to the hair. So when you look at the UC series is going to give you something that gives you better gray coverage, but it's going to give you more coverage because it's got a little bit more alkaline. So where does that affect your color? If you're thinking you're going to hit with a level 5, you're going to get maybe a little bit of a 5.5. So you have to consider what you're working on. If you're working on white hair, it's going to appear a little bit lighter than a 5. Okay, so just so you have that understanding. It is great for me to use a UC series in, say, something like, I love a formula that's fantastic, it's just not covering enough, and I don't want to change the formula. I can add a UC to it and add a little more alkaline to it, and that'll help to give me a little bit better penetration, okay? So there's some things in the colors that, before I move on, I want to talk about that I didn't mention before, and that's the level system of the color and the composition. 3 things that we really love about the color brand. It's called the triple protection. It's your Solomare, that's gonna be your UV, UA protectant. It's gonna be your LP300. LP300 is something that we have not only in the color, but also in the developer. So it's a textile protectant. It protects fabrics from fading. So what we did was we took that technology, added it to the color in the tube and in the developer, and that's what makes the hair color wear longer. So instead of 30 days, you get up to maybe 45 days of wear. Really well, very good gray coverage, and a lot of shine. The reds don't fade. They're some of my most beautiful favorite reds I've ever used. So this is a series of the copper reds that I did. We did all of this with no foil. We did from a gradient of color from a darker level, and we worked up to the front into a lighter level. And then I'm gonna share with you this technique. So those are some of the reds and the coppers. You can see they're beautiful. They don't brown out, which is really nice, or oxidize. What do I mean by that? So when a redhead leaves, sometimes she comes back and she's a little bit brassy or orangey. So this will actually, when she comes back in, she's gonna be very close to what you've already done. So this is really important. Now in the front, I have something new that we have a new mixed tone, and you'll find out what those are in a minute. But this is our 0/34, which is a gold copper, and it's just a pure tone color. I mixed it with clear. I just glazed it because this is a little raw. I hand painted that, and I'll talk about what I did with that too. This is another one that I did, same technique. a little bit more shaggy. You can see none of this was done with foil. She's got definition from the darker, you can see, to the lighter in the front. So what we did was we slightly graduated and changed our formula as we moved up. So I'm gonna share with you this technique so that you can see how Tinta works for you guys. These are the two end results that we're gonna be working on. So this is something that I think you can take back into your salons. Just about the Cocamide, okay, so Silk Protein is another one that's really good in it. Really rinses out well, and it really makes the hair feel good. And Cocamide, we have a Cocamide MEA, so what does that mean? An MEA is an alkaline, so we say we have low ammonia, we have a Cocamide MEA. An MEA is basically a liquid form, so it tends to just be rinsed out really well. And you have to rinse it until the water's clear. Where ammonia is a gas, that's why you smell the color really well. When you first whiff of it, it hits you in the face, this won't. And that's because of the MEA that's in there. The Cocamide also helps so that the scalp doesn't tingle or sting, itch, and sometimes that can happen when you're doing a touch-up. Or maybe another chemical service, like say you wanna do something like a perm or something. So then our level system is an international, it's 1 through 10. So that it's a basic level system like just about everybody else's. This is gonna be important for all of you to understand what the numbers are. So when you see these numbers, these are called mixed tones. So, I'm sorry, not mixed tones. I have the decimals. Well, let's do it this way. So when you're doing your decimals, what you're gonna see is you're gonna see a 0.1. A 0.1 is an ash, and you might wanna write this down because this is important to understand what you're using. A 0.2 is a pearl. 0.3 is gonna be your gold. 0.4 is gonna be your copper. 5 is gonna be mahogany. 6 is gonna be red. 7 will be violet. 8 will be brown. And 9 will be green. So those are gonna be the decimals or the points that you're gonna see in the color line. You're gonna notice there aren't any names or descriptions that way. It's all but numbered now. So it's changed. So when you see a 6.1, you know it's a 6 ash. When you say a 6.3, you know it's a 6 gold. And that's how the decimal system works. It's pretty simple. Some other decimal systems, the numbers are a little different, slightly, but very similar to a lot of other lines with a number, not a name. So that's one other thing that you're gonna notice in those categories. In that, you're gonna notice too that we have something called mixed colors. This is what I wanted to get to. The mixed colors are also in those decimal categories describing what you can use either to enhance, pump up your color, or to retract, take away some of the warmth. So you have 099 that you can use, which is an anti-red that you can add into your color to neutralize. You have an 066 that if you want to pump up your red, it's just a pure direct dye. So let me show you what they look like in the book so that you can see them. So when you look at them, when you look at this swatch chart, see all of these vibrant tones underneath here? These are your additives and these are what you're going to be able to mix into your Tinta. The mixture is when you add any one of these mixed colors to your formulation, it doesn't count in the ratio of your mixture. It doesn't count in the ratio of your mixture. What does that mean? If you're using 30 grams of color, which is 1 ounce of color, and you decide to use a gram of say 033 gold, then you don't need to mix 31 grams of developer, you just need the 30 grams. Okay, so you're gonna always mix in your ratio. Your additive won't be counted in the ratio, just so you have an idea of that. So these are a lot of fun to play with. The 034 right here and clear, I used 4 grams of 034 and 15 grams of clear. And this is the end result of the glaze with Semi-Color, which is our demi-permanent line to do a glaze. This is what I've completely glazed over the entire copper just to give her a little bit more sheen. And that was sat on for 20 minutes. It was after I took down all of the color and rinsed. And then we apply our demi-permanent, which is called Semi. It stays on for 20 minutes at room temperature, no heat. We don't use any heat with our color. And this was the end result. So you can see that it's gonna add a lot of shine and it's gonna give more protection to my color. So that's why I did that. And to show you where you could use it, say in a salon environment. We also have some new toners and I'll be going over that as well. So going through that in the mixtures, then you saw those, we have all of these right here. We have some new ones. We have 019, which is brand new, 034, 056, and those are the newest of all of them. Those are what people are excited about right now because they love the tonality they're gonna add to punch up their colors or to create more intense colors with what we have. We do have them both in Semi and in Tinta. And when you're looking at the color line and you're trying to figure out which is which, if you look at 523, you're gonna see that right above it, there's a little square and there's a little circle. That means that this brand, this particular 523, will come in a Tinta permanent color and a Semi, a demi-permanent color. So that's how you're gonna tell in the swatch book exactly where, what color sits in what. So what's good about that is that you know if you want to refresh with something and you have it in Semi, you can create it. If you don't, you can always copy it from what you have. If you don't, you can always make it. So it's really good and we'll cover a little bit of that with Semi. Are there any questions so far? I know that was kind of a rapid fire, at a glance kind of point of view. Becky, you're smiling at me over there. Is there anything that you could think of off the top of your head? Robert, is there anything?
I think I'm good. It's all helpful information.
Okay, good. It's just really simple. I wanted to keep it as simple as I could. You know, when you're a colorist and you're working with something for such a long time, you get to your own habits. And so when I was fortunate enough to be asked to join this group about 10 years now, I had to rediscover color again because I wasn't used to going to what I knew, you know, and I was in automatic mode. What this actually did was it actually brought out the colorist in me and helped me to formulate and to think about formulations over again. So I know this is going to be not only fun, but an emotional change if you decide to carry Keune, so, or when you do carry Keune. A couple of other things I wanted.
I'm sorry, George, Becky, did you have a question?
Yes, Becky. No, you're good.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just drinking my coffee.
All right, that's good. I'm just having my diet soda over here. It's a little later in Atlanta than it is over there. And you can't do anything but drink Coke. And Diet Coke in Atlanta. So if there's any time in you know, we're in the back room and we're asking questions and we don't know what to look at, we have placed everything, mixtures, ratios, timing, treatments. There's a new glow service in our Semi. So there's all sorts of information in this book. It has it all there for you. So even your mixing ratios of mixed color and how you can add them into your formulations, the timings with your processing and the after shampoo program. Our after shampoo program I will talk about really quickly. It's imperative that you use it with our color, and the reason why is because it's a pH of 4. So what it is, it's a post. It will actually shut down that cuticle, and it will also protect it from any color bleeding. So in other words, if you have any color left in the hair and you use our after color shampoo, it'll help to stop the oxidation. Now, if you take out blondes and you're blonding hair and you're removing the foils, and you rinse it, you can shampoo it. But if you decide to tone it, you will not want to use the after balsam prior to that service because it's going to lock the cuticle. It's going to lock the hair down. So what you want to do is you want to glaze it first on damp towel dried hair with your Semi to do your toning or your glazing. And then what you'll do is process from there, either your 15 to 20 minutes, let it sit, and then rinse it out. And that'll be your processing time. So that's how you would position that. Cool? Are we good so far? I see you guys taking some notes. Awesome. Oh, there is, let's go over the high lifts really quick. My favorite, and I think it's going to be your favorite. Now, for those of you that are familiar with Keune for the first time, you understand that we're a Dutch-owned, family-owned company, almost 100 years now. So it's really exciting, and they really do. They're from Amsterdam, and that's where all our brand and our line comes from. So you're going to notice that our line has a lot of cool tonality to it. And what's wonderful about it, I think, is that because we're from Amsterdam, that we have all those lighter levels of blondes to work with. And what are we always trying to combat here in the US? Warmth, right? So I think that what's cool about it is that we have high lifts that are definitely built up for those neutralizing properties. Yes, Robert, you have a question.
Back to the back bar shampoo. Is that something like when you use that? Is it a shampoo and a conditioner that has the pH level of 4?
Yes.
Do you leave it in for a certain amount of time?
I shampoo it and just give it a really nice shampoo. That's a good question. He's asking me too if, and I'm sure you all heard it, but when you're using the after shampoo and conditioner and it has the pH of 4, do you leave it on for a amount of time? No, not necessarily. I would give it a nice, beautiful, normal massage, work it in, lather it up, and then rinse, and then go to my next step. So if my next step isn't toning and she's just a single process, then what I'll do in a refresh, I'll just pull that down. I'll take the balsam, I'll mix that in, put it through, maybe sit a second or two, not that much. It happens pretty rapidly. Leave it in and bring it down. Now, back to your question. If she's a level 43, and you know who she is and her porosity is way up there, are we gonna bring her down to a 4? No. It's just gonna help you to bring that porosity down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? On an alkaline level, she's gonna live way up here, but you're not gonna bring her down to a 4, you're just gonna bring her down a little bit. So you might bring her down, you know what I'm saying? It's the porosity, there's nothing you can do about that. We also do have another service that I think all of you will be interested in, and I'm just gonna run it through to you right now because it's not in this class. It's in another one, but I'll cover it for you guys. And that's the semi-glow. So with our demi-permanent color, in our semi-color, the mixture would be 1 part of color, write this down. Okay. 1 part of the activator, and I'll get into that in a minute, and 1 part of your after balsam. You mix that, 1 part of your semi-color, 1 part of your balsam, and 1 part of your activator. That's the activator that goes with that particular category.
It's in the book.
Okay.
Is that the shampoo or the conditioner?
The conditioner, and it's gonna be in your book.
Ah.
So it's back there, it's called the Glow Service. Here's what's great about it. You wanna do a 5-minute, there's the after, thank you, Jessica. There's the after shampoo, it's a yellow. If you add this, now think about it in theory, if you do a 5-minute glow service, sometimes that's all we do. Honestly, a flash, glaze, if you will. And it's a disservice because it's not working with the oxidation timing and period of timing. So what we've done is by creating this glow service, you're actually gonna do 2 things. You're gonna put it on the hair, you get a better timing for yourself if you wanna do that type of service, 5, 10, or 20 minutes, right? With the same mixture, you have those different timings. You have a 5-minute timing, a 10-minute timing, and a 20-minute timing. Okay, that would then be applied, and then you time it, and that would be your glow service. Now, if you want to use the service the way it's meant to be originally, the OG method, then what you could do is you could take our semi-color, and it's one part of color to 2 parts of the activator. On towel dried hair, process 20 minutes. Not only will you get great protection and beautiful reflect, but you're gonna get protection and durability like you won't believe. You know, people always ask you that question about durability, and the only way that I can answer it is, it has nothing to do with the brand. It has everything to do with the variables that you're working on. It has nothing to do with the color brand. Okay? So yes, my love. Yes, Sandy. Go ahead and unmute. Down on the bottom, on the left-hand side, you'll see it. There you go. Hi. I love that beautiful streak right there, that statement piece.
Thank you.
It's so gorgeous.
Thank you. I have a question about the semi-glow. You said 1 part color, 1 part activator, 1 part balsam. But you said that the conditioner can shut it down early?
Yes. So what's happening, if you think about it, and I was thinking about this a lot, we haven't really confirmed anything, but if you think about it, if you're using something like a balsam that locks the oxidation, what it's going to do is actually just going to go into the hair, deposit, lock it down a little bit, bring it down, and then you're going to be able to rinse. So the color stays in better in a shorter amount of time. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
It's an excellent service too. Let's just say you did a chemical service and you wanted to do something really quick to add a little add-on. That would be where I would position the glow. And then you would charge appropriately for whatever you think your treatment would be for that day on top of your normal services.
George, do you mind if I add?
No, please do.
So really the thing with why using the balsam, because I'm a very, very, very much of a Keune head. So when this service was introduced to us, I asked why balsam? The pH of the balsam is very similar to the pH of the activator. So what you're really doing is you're kind of slowing down and controlling the deposit differently. So if I want to leave it on 5, it's kind of like that super express, like I just want to brighten that up really fast. The longer that I leave it on, I'm getting more deposit, but I'm getting surface deposit. I'm not getting internal deposit like you would if you mixed semi-color the way you normally would for great blending.
Grab me the mannequin that's in there with the cover, the blonde, the 4 quadrants.
So you're going to get more of a
Please.
internal cortex like deposit when you mix it from a 1-to-2 ratio with activator. By putting in the balsam, you're getting more of that cuticle, cosmetic upgrade, if you will, than you would a more longevity to it. So you're just really brightening it. And what I found with using it myself is that existing color clients that you just don't want to change level, you just want to brighten them up, it's a beautiful service.
Just to give you a quick, just to give you a show you, just to give you a benchmark that I can show you. So we're talking, I did an express service here, a glow service of 20 minutes. And what I did was I used some of our semi peach and soft pink, combined it. And then on this side is the honey, and this is normal. So our honey, champagne, and our beige are all brand new. So over here you can see the champagne. This is the beige, so you can see the differences in the two. I don't know if you can with the lighting. And then the honey's in the front. Now these are just semi-glazes, 20 minutes processing. This was all highlighted. So you can see the depth of the highlight. When you do that, you can see it better. So that's cooler over here. You can see that coolness. And then that one's honey. So those are just glazes without background. So those are really nice too, because those are all brand new that we have for you to use in the salon with that service as well. So those are brand new. That's in a new collection called Shine On. And it's a brand new collection and a box set. It comes in with all the new colors. We have 14 new colors coming out. So that's just something that we can add on. Good. How are we doing?
Good.
Yes, Sandy.
Was the balsam in the OG method as well?
No, only after.
Okay.
Great question though.
Okay.
So thank you for that, because I love when people ask this. So for me, I've had a lot of background, like I've worked with different like post-color activators where you just break a vial and put it in the hair and let it sit for 5 minutes. It's gonna help stop the oxidation. What I'll do is if I do a glaze, like you said, I will take my balsam afterwards, I'll run it through just lightly with my hands just to get an extra little, and then I'll rinse that out. And then I feel really good, and I can just comb it through really smoothly and get her over to the chair and get her going. So that's important. So yes, you can use it after that. It's great to use. Anything else? How are we doing?
And lastly, since she was mentioning that again, that so the after color, the semi-glow again, so after you've done that, is that just a rinse and then style as normal? There's no shampooing or anything else?
No, and you know, we offer that as an option. You can either lightly shampoo after your semi service or even after your glow service, but there is a surfactant already built into semi. So you'll see that it'll give you a nice soft lather and you can rinse it out. Just make sure you really rinse it. For me, I think some of the trouble areas are back and through this area in the bowl, you know, depending on the size of the bowl and the shape. You know, so that always makes a big difference. So good question, Robert. Thank you for that one. Becky, how you doing? Tara, how are you? So I want to get into composition. So we went over the numbers and knowing what they mean, right? But now what's in the tube? What is it? How is it made? What's it built up of? So when you're looking at just a 7, and why this is important to you, because when you look at the tube, it's 100% brown background. So your naturals, you're gonna see like just a 7 or 7.00. Any single decimal or number without a decimal, that's gonna be 100% background. So that's how you look at it. When you move to 2, let's just say a 7.3, 50% of it is gonna be brown and 50% of it is gonna be your primary color. So 50% is your brown, the other 50% is gold. So where would I use this? Could I add it in for gray coverage? Sure, because I've got a little bit of warmth and I've got my base in there. Would it be enough? Maybe not. Maybe I might need to add a little bit of 7 to it and add the 7.3. You see what I'm saying? Now, if I didn't have this, could I add a little 033 to this? See, I'm just taking your heads everywhere because you guys are just looking crazy right now at me like I'm crazy. So there's the 50. You guys are like, oh my gosh, it's going everywhere. 50 and 50, right? Because it's so information. I'm like, just get to the hair color. Then when you look at a 743, what you're gonna notice is the combination of the composition is gonna change. So you're gonna have 50% of the brown, 30% of your primary, and 20% of your secondary. So it's gonna be 50, 30, and 20. So when you look at a 743, you're gonna have 50% of your 7, your background, 30% of your copper, and 20% of your gold. So this might be a better combination, let's just say, with my 7, because now I have copper in it. If I wanted to create, I could do my 7 and add some 4-3 to it. Or 7-3, because now my undertone's gonna lend to it, and that's gonna bring out the warmth. So that's important, okay? Then when you're mixing like a 6-6 or a 4-4, you're gonna notice that the background is now 25% and 75% of that color is gonna be intense character. And that's gonna be in the red and coppers. So that's, when you look at those, that's what's gonna be the difference. and this is an all-time favorite of mine when you look at the book. The 03s are one of my favorites, and I'll tell you why, because this is going to help to explain brown. So we have an 8. We have a 3-8. So what's that going to do? It's going to be primarily 80% of it's going to be brown, and only 20% of it is going to be gold. The 0 is now a placeholder. So when you have a 0 in there, you move that over, and now that 30% becomes whatever was in front of it. So the 30% now is the 6. So now it's 80% brown and 20% gold. So this would be a perfect choice for just a beautiful level 6, honey, dark blonde, like darkest blonde. If you wanted something like that, that would be this. The brown, the 8, is warmer than the brown in our base color. Our base color brown is on the cool side. So when we add an 8 to it, it balances it out more, and that's what's gonna refine and give you better coverage. So I wish we had all of these at every level, but we don't. So they're always good to add in. So if you use this and you're using it with 100%, you have a lot of background for great coverage if you're using it with a 7. So if you're using it with an 03 with the 7, you're gonna have a lot of brown. So just remember that, okay? An 03.
So the amount of coverage based on that when it is just the 50% of brown, at what kind of percentage of gray will that cover by itself without a natural?
Okay. So, you know, we've been taught, you know, this for that percentage, this for that percentage of gray. We do have a chart. It's kind of difficult to, okay, let me put it this way, because I know where you're going with that. So we do have it in the chart as far as breaking it down, right? For gray coverage. But let's just say you have gray coverage and she's starting not to cover anymore because of her life cycle, not because of the color, but her life cycle is changing, the salt is showing up more, the pepper's diminishing, she's getting grayer and grayer, whiter and whiter. What do? You gotta alter the formula somehow. That's when you could use something more with like a UC. That's when you can add a mixed tone of an 033 or an 044, whatever your tonality is that you need. Basically, you need to put back your background or your undertone in that gray. So you have to round out your formula. Okay, so even if it's a 50-50 and it's 100%, you're gonna need something else in there. You might have to pre-soften, old school, a level 8 warm, level 8 gold, in say a demi-permanent color, put it on, fill the hair. Or you might wanna do pigmented color, level 8, no developer, put it on the gray hair, leave it on, and then go mixture, put it on top of that, and you'll get better gray coverage. I mean, there's all sorts of like old school methods that we could do. But you basically have to really figure out what's the undertone at that level, what do I need to add to my formula in order to get the best coverage. Did that help, Robert?
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So in that, would it just an N work? No, probably not. You may need to mix up some other things in there. So that would mean, do I go to another combination? I'll give you a good example. A 3-8 would be a great example. So let's just say, and even a 2-8 would be good now too, because that's new. But let's just say she wants to work with, let's say, a 6-3-8. And I think this is where you're going, Robert, and tell me if I'm wrong. But you have a 6-3-8. Now think about this. What is the 6? Think about it, and then you guys tell me. Think about it. How much is in that? What's the composition number? So what does the 6 have in it? It's 3 numbers.
Oh, yeah, 50%.
50%? You all agree? Okay. And then there's a 3 in there. So what does that mean?
30%.
30%. And then it's got an 8. What does that mean?
20%.
20%. So 6-3-8, 7-3-8, those are going to be pretty beautiful colors that are already rounded out that'll give you substantial gray coverage that you can add to your formula. Because that's a lot of color in there. That's got your little bit of warmth, it's got beautiful brown, and then it's got the base of our brown. So it's gonna naturally look beautiful. Does that make sense? So the 03s and the 38s are really great to work with alongside with all of your ends or your natural series for a little extra weight in that color. You know how sometimes we get hot spots or hollow marks in some of the gray, even though we've applied it on both ends, and we still see a hot pocket? It's because there's something in that area that isn't covering it. Maybe I need a little more warmth just in that area. So maybe that would be somewhere where I put a little bit of a 8-3 permanent tint on that area. Just saying. Cool? Katerina, you still there with us, my love? Yep.
Yes, I'm still here.
All right, good. I wanted to hear your little voice. Now, I want to talk about the high lifts, because this is a category that I think is really important in what we're doing in today's work. A lot of people, what I'm finding is a lot of people are kind of like, well, what is a high lift? So remember, our level system is 1 through 10. A 1000 would be equivalent to, like, say 11 or 12. You know, in some brands you have a level 11 or a 12. When you look at our 1000 series, it's only going to give you 4 levels of lift on natural hair. So when you look at the 1000 series, where would you use it? You know, it would say perfect blonde on blonding, and it's all built for at each stage of lift. So when you have 1000, there is no background. It doesn't have anything but zeros. So it's definitely just all lift, no tone. 1001 is going to give you more lift, but with refining element of the 1, which is an ash. 1-2 is going to give you an ash pearl. 1032 or 1032 is going to give you a beautiful hazelnut, and it's like a gold pearl, and it also blends gray. It's beautiful. So if you're doing foiling and you have some gray spattered through and you want to intermix it with it and maybe do some foils with that, you could use it and it'll just give it some tone.
Which one is that?
That is the 1032. I use it quite a bit when I'm using it on my gray clients that just want to blend. Cool. You're gonna love it. And 1038. 1038 has that tan in it too. So don't be afraid of that. The 1038 is really gorgeous. Hi, my little Amber. Congratulations on your baby. I'm sorry, guys, I'm talking to another friend. Okay, so when you read them like this, think about where blondes sit. If you have a blonde that is stuck at an orange yellow, your perfect choice would be a 12, 1012 while you're lifting. So you know that you can combat that little bit of yellow and that little bit of orange yellow as she's lifting. That'll help you. So each one is built in like that. When you're using the 1000 series, just consider what is the undertone that I'm lifting to and what do I need to control? Because that's going to help you make your choice on why you're going to use these. The same thing with the 1500s. The only different with the 1500s is the mixture, the ratio mixture, and the levels of lift. So your 4 over here, you're going to be up to 5 on natural hair. And what you want to consider is 1531, 1517, 1519, and 1531 is my favorite. 1531, I use it all the time. In everything. It's just one of my favorite go-tos. It's my bad habit. The mixing is 1 part of color to 2 parts of developer. The processing time is up to 50 minutes, and you can use it on the scalp as well. What I love about this mixing ratio, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to go over this mixing ratio is 1:1. This mixing ratio is 1:2. Okay. I use these as an alternate in my foiling. So if I have a bleach in one packet, I always have a high lift in another packet. If I have a brunette If I have color treated hair, all of a sudden she's got a color treated hair, she's a level 4. She's gone darker. She wants to brighten it back up and have caramel highlights. Great choice, 1517 or 1519. Double 30, double 40, beautiful to work with. You get that lift, but you still have a beautiful tone. Okay. 2000 is our bleach alternative. So what does that mean? It has a booster in it, and in this little booster is called a persulfate. When you mix it, there's 2 of them. 2 of those go to 1 tube in that mixture, and it also has a blue booster to help refinement of warmth. This is my go-to when she says to me, I don't want any bleach on my hair. And you know who she is, but it doesn't matter what you say. Damage is damage on the hair, right? So I can always use this. I'll get really beautiful levels of lift, depending on what I'm working on. And I have a really beautiful creamy blonde. There is no tone in that. We do have a blue booster that you can add to it if you want the refinement. And then when you look at our 3000s, basically what we've done is we've created an oil paste in a tube. So that's what this is, on and off the scalp. It also has blue boosters. We have it in 3 tones and 1 clear, or 1000, which is gonna give you the warmth, the undertone, the 11, the 17, and the 25. Now these are all very similar to an oil bleach, a 3-component bleach. So, except we put the technology and put it in the tube. Yes, Robert.
So the alternative to lightener, your one, how many levels of lift does that get? 5?
On natural. Now, it works great for color removal without the persulfates. You ever get in a jam and you got that color that comes in, that just, maybe she did a rinse, or maybe she did something at home, maybe it went black, maybe she has salt deposits and it goes dark around the sides. I don't know, there's so many things that could happen, right? Maybe you picked up the wrong tint bowl and you put on her wrong glaze and it went dark or something. You take 2000, do not put the persulfate in it. You mix it with its developer. That is a beautiful color removal. Instead of going to a lightener or doing a soap cap or a bleach cap, you can use a high lift without a tone, and it'll help to remove your color without the persulfate. If you add persulfate or if you use lightener, they drive an artificial pigment back into the hair. So it's better to
decolorizing tool.
Yes, it's a great decolorizing tool.
Cool.
So, and what I like about it is I can see the levels of lift, the stages of lift, very softly. It's not like, you know, a bleach shampoo cap when you put it on and then you got to really watch it and it still defies you because when you rinse it, there's still spots or something it didn't lift enough. This will. Just make sure that your sections are very small and that you really work it in with your hands. Cool?
Good info.
Yeah, it's one of the best. Yes, Sandy.
Can you repeat that mixture again? My husband was talking to me.
Damn husbands. Well, you know how they are. Amber, are you there, my love? Hey, Amber, do you have the mixture off the top of your head as far as our decolorizing mixture with 2000?
As far as just with the developer? Yeah, so it's just one part of the 2000 and then one part of your developer choice. So depending on what you're trying to remove, you can mix it with 10 or 20 volume.
Yeah.
Is usually all you need for like
That's all.
direct dye removal.
Right. Okay, cool. So, Sandy, I hope that helps. And especially if you have direct dyes or vivids, it's a great tool to use to remove those pinks or blues or greens, anything like that that might be a vivid. It's a great tool to use.
What about permanent color?
Permanent color as well. Just remember this, Robert, the older the color, the more developed it is and the more difficult it is to remove. So what I would suggest first is you want to take a chelator, put the chelator, put a bag on her head, keep it there, let it set. That's gonna help to open up the cuticle and then do your removal process. At least that helps to budget a little bit and get it out, or start to opening up your cuticle. That's just something extra that you can do. And especially in a color correction, do all the steps you can and then charge appropriately for it. So that's really cool.
First, do you mind if I introduce Amber to you?
Now I was just gonna ask, because I was gonna introduce her myself, but please do.
So everyone, this is Amber Skripek. She is our creative technical ambassador, and she works on our team and is completely invaluable, as well as George. And just wanted to share her beautiful face with each and every one of you, because I will have to leave you in about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Just wanted everyone say hi to Amber.
Thank you. Hi.
Oh my gosh, we only have like 30 minutes. All right, so where were we? Is there anything you want to add? Here's what we did. We went over decimals. We went over everything as far as composition, high lifts, mixed colors. Are there any questions out there now that we have Amber on the line here too with us? This is awesome. I haven't seen my baby girl in a while. And she's expecting. Anything? Yes, Sandra.
When you're doing the decolorizing, on curly hair, will that break the curls down? I mean, the texture.
When you're decolorizing, will it break down your texture?
I have clients that want to change their color, and I'm really hesitant about doing it with interfering with their curl pattern. I do it really, really slow. But when you do it on top of that, because I have one that wants me to do it and I'm a little nervous about it.
She wants you to do color removal. So on the curl pattern, you're talking about the sizing, the curl, the stretch of the curl. Are you talking about an artificial or a natural curl?
Natural.
Natural. No, it won't. It'll soften it a little bit. I see what you're saying. I have tight curly hair. When I did color removal once, it just softens it down a little bit. It actually made it a little bit more pliable and controllable. So that might be a perfect opportunity for you to do a close service afterwards and really lock her down with that. So you do a little color removal and then you do a toner or a correction on top of that. And that may be the direction you want to go, and then walk her into something else afterward. If she doesn't have any chemical and she just has color chemical, you should be pretty good. I would just start at the bottom and work up, because those mid-lengths and ends are always the most difficult. They're always where the color just sits in the hardest because it's been layered on it for too many times. Cool? So I want to talk about formulation, and I wanted to show you two variations. So we're going to do technique because we have about 30 minutes, and if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to run into technique. If there's anything you can think of on the color line in Tinta, feel free to ask, or anything else that you might see. I see that we have Wendy Lawson on there too. Hi, Wendy. Welcome. I'm glad to see you here. So on this formulation right here, if you have a book, if you don't, hi, Wendy. So good to see you.
Robert. I met Robert a couple weeks ago in Dallas.
Oh, well, welcome. So this is the sectioning that I did on her, and you're gonna see it over here on the blonde. I've taken one quad in through the bottom, mid, top, high point, and then the very front. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to create color dimensionally, but at one step with no foils. So that's what this is. So what we did was, I will show you the formula and the technique. Was this? This is what we did. So at the very base, your formula, if you have a reference Tinta book or a swatch paper book guide, whatever you might have. So at the base, underneath on the very bottom, we did a 6.34. Who can tell me what a 3.4 is? Come on, I know you guys know it. Gold, and
Copper.
you got it. So 634 is gold copper with 20 volume. That's my starting point. What I've done is I started with a 3.4 because I knew that I had that brown in there and I had a lot of tone. So it's with 20 volume. I wanted to carry that through. This color that we placed here underneath, you can see it. Okay, this was the very first section that we did on the very bottom. So that's what you're gonna see there. That's the 634. Do her base, pull through. We're gonna go to the next section, which is in the vicinity right here. And we're gonna take that 634 and we're gonna carry it over to that section and we're gonna just touch up the base. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an ounce of 743 to what's remaining of my 634. So all I'm doing is lightening it in formulation as we move from the back to the front. So we're gonna let it all process at one time. Question? Anybody? Nope, good. Then in this area, we move to a 744.
Hey, George, I think Robert had a question for you.
Who did?
Robert?
Robert.
So, if you're continuing to add things to that original formulation, do you mix like a full formulation of the 634? Like a full.
He's nothing but a troublemaker.
The troublemaker.
I'm hiding. Yo, you will use, great question. Yes, I'm gonna start off with a complete tube of 634.
Okay.
Okay? And then from there, I'm gonna look at my bowl and I'm gonna think, okay, how much, and the hair, how much more do I need? And I usually go for an ounce because there's usually about 3/4 of an ounce left. Okay, because this is a small area. So it's about, 3/4 to it depends on how heavy handed I am and how thick this hair is. So yes, then what I'm gonna do is on the very top, you see a 744. Now, why did I do a 4/4? Because I needed the intensity of that copper because I have all this brown already built in. So now by working up here, it doesn't look like it's straight on copper. It just looks a little bit brighter because now you've added. So now you're seeing how the color works in combinations, okay? Then when we move to the sides, this last quadrant right here, we added a combination of our lifting color, 444, and I didn't talk about those yet, but we have 3 of them. We have a 444, a 667, and a 666. They're high lift colors. They will give you 4 levels of lift and tone on natural hair. So they give you all that lift. So you get that brightness that I wanted with that 444 in through here. So it's pretty intense. And then I got my new kit of my semi-color. So I wanted just to do a really beautiful 20-minute glow service. And I used 4 grams of 034, which is our gold copper in the mixed colors, with 15 grams of clear. Let that, set it on for 20 minutes, rinsed it. I used a little bit of the balsam for you, Sandy. And then I blue dry it. And when I blue dry it with, I used root lift on the very top, and then just a little bit of my keratin smoothing. I used the silkening polish just to kind of diffuse it. It's like a cream. You're gonna love this polish because if you have definition of curl, it's not too heavy. It is a light cream. And I just work that through in the hair and just give it some extra shine. When I do a new color service, I really want to not inhibit any of the colors. So what I love about the finishing brand, the product of the brand, is that it's really light and you can use it in many different combinations. So that's what I like about that. So you guys want to see how I did it? Awesome. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start in the very back. You can see that I've taken zigzag sections throughout. You can see those sections on the very top and then the 2 sides. So I just dropped out the sides to behind the ear and in front of the face. I'm gonna use these sections with this color in this radial up on top. I don't wanna use the dark on the front. They don't ever wanna see dark in the front. Yes, Robert. Oh, is this your hat? Or,
No, I'm good.
Oh, you're just resting.
I put my arms down.
Okay, you're just resting. Okay, I see it.
No question.
No questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another large zigzag section across, straight across. That's going to be the bottom section or the interior of the color that I'm going to create. We're going to work that through. I'm working with 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. I'm going to outline with your 634, you're going to outline the entire section so that you can see it throughout the base. We're going to work with that. I'm going to work in the center and I'm going to split it, and I'll turn it around so you can see it. So I can split it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to lift her up just a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to take a center part, work that in. And then I'm going to work that through. And then we're going to work the 634 all the way through. Now, for those of you that are wondering why doesn't he have gloves? What's he doing? I'm actually just using a clear in semi so that I can just show you the demo. And that's why I did it on the benchmark over there for you can see it visually. So I'm not going to get any color on my hands. Now, do I work with gloves usually? No, I don't. So just so that you know that. Right, Amber? So this, he's like, yeah.
George used to jump on a stage with all red fingers and red nails after model.
Like, I don't care, I'm doing color.
The floor, yeah.
And on the floor too, and on the walls. Sometimes on the back of her dress. I'm not kidding, Robert. I mean, you no. I found some old pictures of us. So this is gonna be my 634. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put a cellophane non-cling wrap. I'm just gonna put that on the bottom so that I can isolate that, protect it from the rest. And that's why I like to use these, because they can do that. That's really nice. Then I'm gonna take my next section. Before I do that, I'm gonna continue with my 634 and we're gonna just touch up on her base. You need that color to continue through to give yourself a blend dimensionally without using any foils. And now we're gonna do all of her base first with the 634 that's left before I mix in my 743. And I hope you can see it okay. So where are you from, Sandy?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Wow. So everybody else, start telling us where you're from. Tara, where are you from?
I am from Lansing, Michigan.
Lansing. I love Michigan. What part?
I grew up outside of Detroit, and my family moved us to Jackson, and I graduated there and went to beauty school there and found myself in Lansing. And I love it here.
I have a friend that just moved to Michigan. I have to find out where. His name is Justin Isaac. He and his wife, they just moved to that area. I think her family was original. Now, once you do your 634 on your base, I'm going to continue. I've done my base with my 634. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my 7.43 with 20 volume. I'm going to pre-mix it. Then I'm going to dump it into what's remaining. So now I'm placing it in there.
That formulation just for that.
Pardon me?
How much of that?
An ounce. I want that to carry through. So think of it. If it's 30 grams of color, or 30 grams of color and 30 grams, that's, 2 ounces of color. That's pretty good. So that'll help me to pull it through. Now this is on longer hair. I've done it on shorter and it works really well because I get a really good blend on a hard haircut. Sorry. Okay. And the 4-3 is gonna go all the way through it. And I'm just gonna blend it in really good to the base color and work that through. That's the 7-4-3. Now, once I'm done with that, my color choices are gonna start to change. I'm gonna mix my 7-4-3 for the top, but I want you to see where I'm gonna take that section. So in order to discover where this section is, what I've done is you take your comb, and where the comb's gonna leave, I hope you can see that, where it's gonna leave this area right here of the head, that's where I'm gonna decide where I'm gonna put my partings. So now this area is gonna be the combination of my 7-4-3 with my 6-3-4, right? And you can see how small this section is, so it's a slight gradient of color as I'm working through. So now there's the base there. There's the combination of the 4-3 and, okay. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. Turn her this way. And we're gonna place all of this in here. Now we've added, once you do that, you're gonna put that combination of your 7-4-3 with your little bit of 6-3-4. Now you're gonna bring that 6-4-3, the remaining of it, what's in there, at the base. And then you're gonna add your 7-4-4 with 30 volume. Now we've gone up in volume. So basically it's like refreshing your volume of the oxidized color that's sitting in that bowl. Because, you know, you gotta have a fresh batch of color sometimes.
You're gonna say something nasty.
What's that? Now we're gonna pull all this color through, so it's gonna all process at once as we're working up. And usually it doesn't take me like a full head length application. About 20 to 30 minutes, full application. That's not the talking time in the back room or ordering lunch or eating someone's french fries or chips. You know who you are. Okay. So now we're gonna isolate this. We'll leave this out. So there's your 3 tiers going up to the 4th. And now we're gonna include the sides. So I'm gonna leave these out, and now all of this will be included. So I see that this hair needs that formula too. So I get a slight graduation, put that in. Get rid of this. There. And then we're gonna work up, and now we're gonna add our next formula, which is our lifting color 444. That's gonna be the brightest color in the front. Same application, continue it through. This will be the end result.
And that's being added to the bowl of all the other things.
Correct. You are gonna be pleasantly surprised. Now, what will happen with this is this will all be I'll put it on there, combination of everything that was in the bowls And now I'm adding the 444 to it, and this is just gonna be the front. There's been times, and I'll talk about that too with the brunette one I'll show you right now. I'm gonna just get this color out of the way. How are we doing on time? This day is flying.
We have about 20 minutes, George.
We have 20 minutes? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when you're looking at this, everyone, this is going to be the last section. You can see when I lay it down, the area that I'm talking about in comparison to the other area. Okay. When you look at it, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections complete. And looking at those 4, here's what they look like. Really simple. Everything's pulled back to the back. Front is laid down, or you can lay it over when you isolate it, depending on what you want to do. This was the redhead. Now I'll show you the brunette. And you can see the darkness in through the back under here. So the formula here was 523 with 20 volume. Left that in the bowl. I carried it through to the next section, did the base. Then I added my 838. If you have a chart, take a look at it. 20 volume as well, carried that through. So you can see how much brown there is. And this was the level that she was. So she was light. And you can see that that 2-3 and that 3-8 did not go flat or muddy. It's pretty beautiful brown. It's got a gorgeous balance of color. So that's what I like about that. Then when we moved up into this quadrant, we added 7.3. So that's right here. And then when we went to the front, we did a combination of 832 with the rest all the way through. And then, just for the sake of being creative, I wanted to play a little bit. So I did some hand painting in the front with Freedom Blonde, which is one of our blonde systems. It's beautiful to work with. It's our clay lightener. And I just tipped it out in certain areas to brighten up the 832, knowing that she had some blonde underneath in this little shag that was cut for me. And this is the end result. One process, no foils. I tipped out some of the ends on the back so that you could see a blend. Great dimensional color, one process, easy to do with the combinations of just playing with our Tinta Color. So what do you guys think?
Looks great.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, there are times when, some of our clients just aren't going to want all foils. So, working with a technique that's just simple and based on science, which is the other thing, you're going to get beautiful dimensional results. So I think that we could share with you and show you the 2 different results with our Tinta Color and Developer. So that's what I did for you guys today. So what are some of the, let's just review for the day. What are some of the things that you got out of today? Anybody? Who would like to share with me first? Sandra, Kara, Becky, Roberto, Wendy, Amber? Yes, my love. You're on mute.
I like the decoloring with the 2000.
Good. You think you'll be able to use that then?
Yes.
Awesome. What else have you played with in the line, if I might ask?
I like the 1511, the 1500 series. I'm nervous about the bleaching, but I signed up for that class. So,
What's your holdback on bleaching? Tell me.
The different types and why we use them.
You're gonna, in that class, you're gonna get it all. Cause I'll tell you this, it's like cooking. You know how sometimes you use certain oils for certain types of cooking? You know, like in my background, in my family, they like to use lard, or what we call manteca, and some families like to use vegetable oil, but I swear you're gonna get more flavor out of the lard. But what I'm saying is, you have different things for different methods, okay? Same like cutting. You have a blending and a thinning shear, you have a long, you have a short. Same thing with lightening. This particular type of hair, this is the kind of lightener I'm gonna use on it. This is the kind of levels of lift I want. This is the lightener I'm gonna use on it. Oh, she's a level 7 above, I'm gonna take cream. Oh, I'm gonna use, you see where I'm going with it? So don't look at it like, oh my God, you guys have so many. Look at it for what would suit you in your salon environment at this moment and where you could position it. That's it. It's like everything else. You just gotta, and then once you go from there, you just try a little bit at a time. That's the way I do it. I don't like to cherry pick. I like to take it, go in head first, but sometimes it's good just to kind of put your toe in the water.
Okay.
Cool.
I do want to play more with
And if you have any questions, write this down, any one of you. At George, Colorboy Geo, where is it? That's my Instagram.
Say it again.
George, George, Colorboy, Colorboy, Geo. And that is my Instagram. So if there's any time that you might have a question, or maybe you just have a fear on something that you want to try but you're afraid to try it, you can always just DM me. And I will work as hard as I can to get back to you, depending on where I'm at. Hell, I'll call you back anyway. It doesn't matter where I'm at.
George, I'll also share in the chat the tech line number.
Yes, please.
An emergency and they need to get a hold of someone. We have our staff that all hairstylists, all licensed. So if you call and you're in a pinch and need some formulation advice or product advice, they'll get one of us on the phone with you right away. So I'll add that in there as well.
Becky, how are you doing, my love?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Is there anything else or anything that you can think of today that we could cover for you or answer before?
I have one simple question.
Yes,
so
please.
What is the average processing time for the UC series?
Okay, for great coverage, you know, it's funny. Our timing is 30 minutes with Tinta, going up to 45 minutes with great coverage. It depends on the situation, really. With great coverage, it's resistant. I usually let them sit for 45.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're welcome. Amber, do you have anything to add? Else to add?
No, yeah, for resistant gray hair, like George says, usually 30 to 40 minutes. I always recommend people check it at 30 because there's a good chance that it's covered then. So just before, if you don't have the extra 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes to wait, then I usually say wipe off a piece at 30 just to see if it's covered.
Yeah, just to check. Anybody else? Wendy?
Curious.
Yes.
About so the 2000 series, how does that work on previously lightened hair with bleach lightener?
Well, if the hair is already compromised and it is already, you think about it, just like a high lift or just like, you know, any other lightener, especially in those two categories, you're going to always want to watch your overlap or you're going to always want to watch your sectioning. That's why I think I use a high lift a lot, is because I can't always grab each individually perfect section the next time they come in, right? It's just really difficult. So I have to give myself forgiveness. So that's when a semi will come into place where I can low light with my highlight and put back in what I'm taking out so that I don't run across that over lightening process thing. Or if it's about compromising the hair, I might use a high lift in there with, say, double 20, like 1531, and then maybe pull that through the base and then run it through just to give me some more tone, and it's lower volume and it's a high lift. And then I'd use my lightener and I'd pull that through to the ends or the line of demarcation. And then you want to open face foil because you don't want that to fold up on itself either if it's compromised. So there's a lot of things that come into place in it. I mean, so many things when we're doing foiling or touch up or, yeah, crazy, right? I hope that helped, Tara.
The high lift series will affect color?
Yes, we didn't talk about that, but we did talk about color, lifting color, and I could put that out there. We know that color has always been told to us that it doesn't, but we do tell you that our color will affect your color. So if you're using a high lift on color treated hair, don't expect the levels of lift. Expect maybe half the amount of level of lift, if that. So if you're usually getting 4 levels of lift, you're only gonna get 2, depending on who you're working on and the color. So yeah, good one. Thank you, Wendy. Anyone else? Felicia's new. Is there anything else we can think of?
Felicia just typed in that she is at the hospital with her husband, and that's why her camera's off. But she's listening and she's here. So.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your husband. I hope he's okay. Okay. Is there anything else that I can think of that I think I can cover? I'm listening to Bill over there. Can you tell him like what? I did a review already, Bill. Huh?
How about the gray blending for the high lifts?
Depends, but up to 70%. Correct? And what does that mean? Robert, remember we were talking about if she had a sprinkle of gray in between her dimensional color packets, you could do a semi. It'll help to give you a really soft gray blending, especially if you're using a 38. So if you're using like 1038, something like that would help to give you a better blend. And just lower your volume and go to 20 volume if you want something like that to get the lift at the base, but then the tone at the ends with a lower volume. That help you, Wendy?
I have had always I guess an insecurity about using any other volume but 40 volume with high lifts.
Oh, but 40 volume? You use 40 volume, you mean?
Well, I've had an insecurity about using anything but 40 volume.
Oh, really?
Maybe.
Okay, so here's, yeah, I totally get it. So here's what I'm gonna recommend. What you can do is you can order some swatches, okay? Go to Amazon and I think TOFA is the brand that I use. Go on and they have darker swatches and start bleaching them out. And then get some lighter ones too, maybe some highlighted hair, and look at the process. Look at it with, well, can I tell them about the Bond Builder? Amber?
Well, yes. I can't feel that carrot and say
Oops, sorry.
Bond Fusion would apply.
Oh, you're such a brat. Something's coming where you won't have to worry about it in the lighteners. In 2 of them.
Not all of them, though.
In all of them.
But do you mind if I jump in on Robert?
No, please go ahead.
So, Robert, I get it. I mean, most high lifts are 30 or 40 volume recommended, and it definitely depends on what level you're starting at. If you are using it for gray blending, with the, say, 1038, for instance, you can get up to 90% gray blending with either a 30 or a 40 volume. So just know if you do use 40 volume, you're still going to get gray blending and still get lifted at natural.
but still have good control of underlying pigment in the lifting process.
So that'll be where it depends on what your natural present in the hair. So for a 1038 and the 1000 series, I wouldn't recommend, if you're trying to get a neutral to cooler end result, I wouldn't even recommend using it on a level 7 or darker. 7 you'd be fine. Darker than that, you're still going to have some residual warmth.
Okay.
So if you're talking about a level 5, the 5 is going to be lifted to a warmer, but you're going to get that blending of the gray on that lighter gray hair though.
And we're talking high lifts, so with a 40, correct? Right. So back to that instance, I want to just cover this really quick because I think it's important. And I had the same fear factor. So let's think about it. When we're using a double amount of developer in a product, let's say, for instance, the 1500, and I use 40 volume, and you say you have a fear of using it, you would go to a 20, double 20, it'll give you good, but maybe it didn't give you the levels of lift. If I use the 40, it is basically giving me the timing or the longevity of the timing, the amount of timing that I need to keep on the hair without compromising it by using 2 parts of developer with 1 part of color. It's the color that has the more ammonia in it and the double developer that helps to make it calm down so that it can sit on your hair for a longer amount of time without the damage. So 40, no problem. Double 40, even better. So I wouldn't be so concerned about it, but you'll get your levels of lift without compromise. But that's the reason why we use a double amount of developer with that type of a color, so that it's allowed to stay on longer, because it's the alkaline. So because everybody has that fear, is it the developer or is it the product? It's the alkaline. That's just the water and oxygen over here. That's it. It's just more gasoline in the tank. Cool?
Got it.
So try it. Don't be fearful of it.
Got it.
Sandy, anything else before I get to leave you with your beautiful white streak?
Thank you. I fake at it. I only color. I just don't color this part.
Shh,
So.
don't say anything. Nobody will ever know.
Okay.
It looks amazing on you.
It does, doesn't
Thank
it?
you. Thank you. Can you tell me what was your favorite? You said your favorite color was it 15?
31 in the high lifts. I have a lot of favorites. But in the high lifts, I tend to go to that. It's my crutch. I'm not gonna lie. Ask Amber.
Okay.
I throw it in everything. It's a foil. Give me some 1531.
There